Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. But I'm specifically going to talk about making monsters tougher or harder. Okay, it's really simple. That's all we're trying to focus on. So if we're going to start talking about things like how do we make encounters harder or combat encounters harder, that's not really the focus of this particular video. The key for this particular video is how do I make my monsters tougher or harder for my players in my game. So we're not dealing with adding minions, we're not dealing with adding more miniatures to the table, we're not adding more monsters, we're not dealing with terrain, we're not dealing with hazards or traps, we're not imposing any kinds of goals, we're not worrying about the tactics. If your tactics are not good enough for your table, then watch some of the tactics videos that I've done and then improve your tactics. It's more about how do I actually make the stat block for the monster tougher and harder to deal with for players. That is our key focus for today. And I don't want to jump onto any kind of other topic regarding that just for now. Okay, so there are probably about 5 different things that I can think of that you can do to make your monsters tougher or harder. And the first thing is to maximize the hit points for your creature, monster or NPC. Okay, increasing it. You can maximize or give them maximum hit points or increase the number of hit points they have. The only problem with doing that is it's going to make your combats longer. And it's really good at low levels because one of the things that you'll find is all you need to do is stretch out the time frame for low level play by giving your monsters more hit points, and it's going to be a tougher fight. It's just going to work out that way. It's actually very easy to do. It doesn't take you a lot of time. So an example for those of you who are wondering, how do I increase or give my monsters maximum hit points? So if you open up to the monster manual, if you look in the monster manual on page 246, but this can be applied to any particular monster stat block whatsoever. Usually right beside hit points it will state the average. They give you an average number. For the orc it is 15, and then in brackets it has 2d8 plus 6. So this is the formula for figuring out your hit points. It's also what you use for determining how to recover hit points if they take a short rest. Okay, so what you're going to do is for the orc, it would be 2d8. So 2d8 means 8 plus 8 plus 6. Okay, so 16 plus 6, 22 would be maximum hit points for an orc. And you apply the same calculation and process for any of your other monsters or stat blocks. And it's really probably only suitable for low level play. It will make combat slightly longer, but it's very easy to do. And you don't necessarily have to just maximize hit points. You can give them a little bit more if you want. But there is a point, if you use it for too long, that it will make combat horrifically long and actually it won't be fun anymore. So I don't recommend doing it forever. So that is the first thing you can do as the dungeon master with your monsters to make them tougher. Next is increasing your damage output. Now, it's very easy to increase damage output for a monster. It will make your combats reasonably short, so it will keep it nice and short, which is helpful. This is what we want. We don't want to have an hour-long combat that's kind of boring, or even half hour. We want to keep it nice and short, but it's best used at higher levels. So level 5 upward, if you start increasing the damage on your monsters when they're at lower levels, the chances are you will start knocking down characters, or more likely the characters will be instantly killed because the damage put has been increased by so much. So how much do you increase your damage output? Well, one of the things you can do with your monsters is when you do anything with altering anything whatsoever means that you are going to change the dynamics of the table. But you can use the slow boil technique. I've talked about this before, where you simply decide to add just a small amount of extra damage. So you can just add 1 or 2 points to your damage. You could roll a dice, a 4-sided dice, a 6-sided dice, an 8-sided dice, 10-sided, doesn't matter, but increase the amount of damage that your monsters are doing slowly over time to compensate for the fact that you might have a large table or maybe you've got a lot of power gamers at your table, or maybe you're actually dealing with a situation where they're very experienced and they know how to use the synergies of their different classes together, and that is where the problem lies, and so you want to increase the damage output. Increasing damage output, I have found, particularly beyond 5th level, is probably the most efficient, easiest way to deal with all of the problems with dealing with a monster that you need to be tougher. So that is what I would suggest to you.